Thank you. Good morning, everybody. So in the next 35 minutes, we'll talk about a phase of innovation. The phase of innovation that is about design and the role of design in driving innovation. We'll talk about what design is, why design today, and how you can embed design in your thinking and the culture of your company and the processes of your company. So what is design? When we say design, often our imagination goes to beautiful products, beautiful packaging, sometimes to interesting or engaging communication. The reality is that design is all about deeply understanding people. And it's about understanding the people we design and innovate for. So it's about empathy. It's about deeply understanding needs and wants of the society and the people we design for. It's about the people driving innovation inside the organization. So it's about the culture, the mindset, and the processes inside those organizations. Design, I always say, is not just about designers, but it's about all the other functions, all the other individuals inside the organization, from R&D to manufacturing to marketing to consumer insights and so on and so forth, modifying the way they work to embrace this new approach, this new culture, this new discipline. And finally, almost in a romantic way, is all about the people we meet and work with in our life every day. And again, it's about the culture in an organization, it's about the right sponsorship inside an organization. Every time you introduce a new culture, a new way of doing things, it's extremely important to meet those sponsors and mentors inside the company that can help you driving the new culture in the proper way. In our case, for instance, our CEO Indra Nu in PepsiCo is one of the main sponsors of this new approach. And this is extremely important for a new culture to be nurtured and then grow inside the organization. So we'll talk about designing products, branded experiences, but also designing processes, mindsets, strategies, and culture. This is what we are trying to do in our company today. So why design now? Why not just 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, in a company that is a food and beverage company, but design is now starting to arrive in many, many other kind of organizations, from healthcare companies to insurance companies. You have these design teams that are growing a little bit everywhere. The reality is that the world is changing dramatically, and it's changing very rapidly, and it's changing more and more rapidly in the past few years because of a variety of different drivers that are really driving this change. Internet, global markets, social media, digitally enabled entrepreneurship. I will go through each of them. Digitally enabled manufacturing. 4 different generations colliding in the same society and the same organizations are the key drivers of this macro change in the society. Internet is creating what I like to define as augmented awareness, global accessibility to knowledge. So essentially, people know everything about anything wherever they are. They take out of their pocket these devices, and they are informed on anything. So we have a society where we have people, consumers, users that are more and more informed. They are often spoiled. They are very savvy. And it is very important for companies and brands to be authentic in their brand stories and then to deliver innovation that is really meaningful and relevant innovation for them. Because again, they are really informed. It's a completely different kind of society we interact with. The global market is creating global accessibility to purchase. Essentially, you go, and for instance, the consumer electronic world is the one that faced this problem before many other worlds. You go in a store, you go in a Best Buy, for instance, you experience the products, you enjoy the service that you have in the store, but then eventually, again, you take out this device and you buy from competition. This is becoming more and more present in almost any market. We play with PepsiCo in the food and beverage market, and this is becoming a reality also in the market. I live 2 blocks from here in New York City. Personally, I do all my grocery shopping in freshdirect.com, so online. So the situation is really changing. When I go to a store, eventually, it's because I want to buy something that is very unique, it's very particular. And that's why, for instance, stores, retails like Italy, E-A-T-A-L-I-Y, is here in New York, is the 5th most visited place in the city after the Statue of Liberty, the MoMA, the Empire State Building, and so on and so forth. So it's the 5th most visited place in the city. So the situation, the competitive landscape is changing completely. We are not competing anymore just with products that are with us on shelf or eventually on a catalog. We are competing with a variety, with a reality that is much more broader. Social media are changing the way we communicate. About 25 years ago, Nicolas Negroponte in Being Digital used to dream about this digital assistant that will filter all the information that were arriving from the world for you. Today, we do have our digital assistants, and are the peers that we select in our social networks is the people we decide that can be part of our network in Instagram, in Facebook, in LinkedIn, in Twitter, and so on and so forth, Snapchat today, Periscope, and so many other social media that are arriving. So essentially, what these people do, they filter information that by definition are relevant for us because these individuals share the same interest, professional interest or personal interest in the society, and they amplify them. So for brands today, established brands like Pepsi or Lay's, or new brands, startups that are coming to market in any kind of sector or category, the way you build brands today is very different than just 5 years ago. Social media like Instagram are really relevant, really famous since 2-3 years. I mean, are mass market phenomena since 2-3 years. So the society is really changing very fast. A company like PepsiCo used to build brands by investing in TV advertising, then in media buying, press, out of home, and then activating in retail through packaging, product innovation that was really focused on, for instance, new flavors, often incremental, and then activation in POS, point of sales, what you are doing there in retail. Today, the way we build brands is completely different. So the old model is still there, but we are entering a society where it's a two-way communication. It's not anymore a top-down kind of communication. We create a dialogue with our consumers, with the people we interact with. And it's a dialogue where obviously we need to have our platforms, we need to have our Facebook page, we need to have our internet site, we need to have places where we do talk with these people. But the reality is that to activate online, to be part of that online conversation, global online conversation, we need to activate those brands offline. So things that didn't make sense in the past, to do something in a specific location, in a specific time, didn't make sense for us because we had millions of people looking at our TV advertising. Today makes a lot of sense because that kind of communication is more authentic, is more relevant for people, and can be embraced by specific people and then amplified through the social media. So again, it's changing completely the way we build brands, and paradoxically, this is a challenge more for big corporations because startups and smaller enterprises don't have the means, don't have the budgets, the resources to actually activate the brands like big corporations. So they're more used to this kind of activation that is more viral, more social, more based on buzzwords. And when we talk about innovation, what people say about your products, what people say about your innovation is much more relevant than what you can say through any form of advertising about what you're doing. So this is extremely important for any of us that try to change the world and drive innovation in a different way. Digitally enabled entrepreneurship is essentially what I define as global accessibility to new ventures. Is Kickstarter.com. Is the ability of anybody, any individual, to have an idea, go online, and find investors, find investments, find resources to take that idea to life. And this is extremely important because, again, if you think about big corporations, we don't compete anymore just with the other big corporations, but we start to compete with other with startups, with consumers, with users that have a good idea and have now the resources to take it to market. And this is creating a lot of problems, not just on market share, but the reality is that the summary of all of these startups, the summary of all of these different brands that start to pop up everywhere in the market may also create a problem of relevance and obsolescence for your brands. So this is really changing the competitive scenario. Digital enabled manufacturing is essentially, well, the new frontier is going to be 3D printing. So with true 3D printing, that is going to be the next industrial revolution in the next few years, and it's going to be really diffuse, and is something that is going to transform any individual in a potential designer. Anybody will be able to create things and commercialize things, not even anymore in a garage like you know, it used to happen after World War II. Now even in your bedroom, because a 3D printer can be, you know, by your bed, you have your computer, you have something, technology very clean. So essentially, again, 3D printing is a face of digitally enabled manufacturing, but essentially what I'm talking about is lower investment in tooling that give the possibility to individuals to create startups in a much, much, much easier way than in the past. And finally, Four Generations Colliding is also a beautiful book written a few years ago that talks about Gen Y, Gen X, baby boomers, traditionalists. Actually, today in 2015, we should talk about 5 generations colliding because we have also the Gen Z that are growing. And this is creating, first of all, an unexperienced complexity in the market. It's very difficult to understand who we are designing for. Secondly, is creating big complexity inside the organizations, inside the corporations, because the gap between the way baby boomers think and the way millennials think is huge. And you have baby boomers driving corporations trying to please millennials. You have millennials inside this corporation. That is a generation rather arrogant and difficult to manage, if you want. And so how to manage, you know, the experience of leverage the experience of the baby boomers, but the understanding of the society of the millennials, with a generation that is the biggest ever, the number of the millennials, we know that is the biggest ever, but mostly they own the social media. So they own the communication that impact also the other generations. So how to manage that complexity, both in the way we do innovation, so understanding how to segment the market in the proper way, the user, the people, and understand what are those needs and those dreams and those aspirations and those dreams of those generations that collide inside the organizations, and then how to manage the processes and the culture of the organization when you have all these different cultures colliding. And then last but not least, and I put it as the last because it's about to come, but is here everywhere, and especially this community is very aware of it, is the Internet of Things. So everything around us will become smarter and smarter and smarter. For us in the food and beverage industry, that means that you may have a bottle of something or a packaging of food or a bottle of a beverage in your refrigerator, and when the product is either expired or is finished, the label will tell your refrigerator or your house in general, your intelligent home, that the product is finished and will reorder himself automatically. This is just an example. We see a few more later, but the reality is that we are about to face a reality where everything that surrounds us is going to be smarter and smarter. You may be cold or warm right now, and your seat could adjust its temperature on the basis of what you feel. This table could understand that this glass contains water and needs to keep the water cold, and so on and so forth. So we need to understand what is going to be the role, in our case, of a company like PepsiCo in this society that is evolving. And this is not easy because, as you can imagine, the vast majority of our R&D resources are focused on product innovation, on the innovation of that food and that beverage. But we need to understand how the technology innovation around us is going to change the way people interact with food and beverage. And what does it mean from an infrastructure standpoint? Are we going to invest in-house in this kind of capability, or we're going to invest in open innovation and collaboration and partnership with a variety of realities that probably are also in this room today? So this is really changing the way we think about innovation. So again, we are facing a society where we have people expert, savvy, demanding, sometimes spoiled, different to categorize. They share 24/7, and they build on each other not just the knowledge, but on each other emotion and perception. You know, very many R&D-driven companies, often they communicate just about the functionality of the products, forgetting that the perception of that functionality, the perception of innovation, the emotions connected to that product is so important in this society today. Perception is driving markets, it's driving investors, it's driving corporations. It makes your stock going up and down. Perception is extremely important, and to understand how to impact the perception of innovation of your brand, the perception that people have of your brand is extremely important. So we need to to try to create, no matter what we're doing, what is our field and sector, we need to try to create holistic and meaningful experiences. It's not about products anymore. It's really about the meaning of that experience and how to design that experience. So what does it mean, design an experience? What is an experience? An experience is a product or a service or a brand, no matter what. That's why I like to call it a solution. It depends on what you're doing. Then interact with people. That people could be the user, the one that is using your product. It could be the consumer, the one that is buying the product. Sometimes it's different. You may have the buyer of a company buy your product, and the user is somebody else in the company. You may have the mom that is buying the product, and the user is the kid, and so on and so forth. Then the customers, obviously, they're the full organization that eventually is buying your product to sell it to others. So people, in a context, the most common one, common one are the purchase context and the use context, and finally in time. So it's by definition a story. So when they ask me, design a glass, or design a new medical device, or design whatever they ask me to design, the first thing we keep in mind is, what is that practical journey that defines the experience? So we design the full journey from the idea of people or buying that specific device or that food or that beverage. Then you go and buy, you purchase it, you receive it, you unpack it, you use it, you store it, and you dismiss it. It's possible to innovate. You know, we focus so many times on the use of the product. And so many times, actually, the storage of the product or this mission of the product is something where we can disrupt categories. There are many examples in the innovation and design world where the functionality eventually was even decreased in some of the products, but you have been increasing the convenience of the storage or the convenience of the dismission of the product, and you have been changing the game, you have been beating competition. So always keeping in mind not just the way people use the product, but the full spectrum of the experience is extremely important every time we design something. Then we need to keep in mind how to design the meaning of that experience. So essentially, every time you interact with something, no matter what it is, it could be a beautiful car, a luxury brand, or a mass market brand, or anything else, there is always a double interaction that defines the meaning of that experience between that product or that brand and people. The first one is your intimate pleasure or reassurance that you have when you interact with a product. Is a medical device that you really trust, that comes from a brand that you really trust, or you're really comfortable to use. For instance, that's one of the problems in innovation. People get used to use certain kind of things in a certain way, then they want to change. So that's why it's not just pleasure, it could be also reassurance. So is that intimate relation that you create with the product or the brand. In fashion is the pleasure of having, I don't know, a pair of Prada shoes for the women in the room without any brand outside. It's just you. You just know what you are wearing. So this depends on what are your needs, dreams, aspiration, but these apply to any kind of product. And then the second level of interaction is what the product is telling about you to others. So again, a specific pair of shoes can tell you my belonging to a certain kind of community, or my material status, or my wealth, a variety of different kind of values. In the professional world, using certain kind of devices, I remember when I used to work in 3M in the safety business, having certain kind of brands, using certain kind of tools was a way for professionals to communicate to others a level of professionalism. So again, we always keep in mind the meaning of that connection that you have with products. Every time we innovate, we need to keep in consideration the intimate dialogue between people and product, as well as what that product is telling to others about them. Finally, how to design these meaningful experiences, how to play with the emotion of people, and how to try to please them in the best possible way. There are usually 3 different steps that you have in the interaction with the products. The first one is what I like to call the visceral relation. So is a way to grab their guts with relevant, engaging, appealing solutions. It could be the product, it could be packaging, it could be the different touch points that you have in your ecosystem. So is something that you look at And it could be, again, the style of the product. It could be what's inside the product, so it's the product innovation. It could be the full experience that you have with a product, and essentially grab you completely, on your gut. It's visceral. It's beyond rationality. It's something that immediately catch your attention and create a specific connection, a relation with your brand. So again, you saw here examples that go from product innovation to package innovation to the full experience with celebrities in our case, in the music and sport industry, all the way to the way we manage our facilities and the experiences inside those facilities. The second one is what I like to define as the interactive relation. So essentially is what makes that experience relevant, engaging, and worth, both from a rational standpoint and an emotional standpoint. It's about taking the old equipment portfolio that we had at PepsiCo and completely transforming it, creating a family of products that are smart, that can create a very engaging relation with consumers, that give the possibility to consumers to customize their drinks in hundreds of different varieties, and that give us information about what people is creating so that this can inform our innovation pipeline. And this is one of the products that we launched recently, but I think I have a video that can explain better than me what we're doing here.
We set out to create a refreshing new destination for beverages, bringing them to life in a way that's never been experienced before. Our revolutionary touchscreen fountain puts you in control, giving you exactly what you want, when you want it. Quickly create your personal mix with the brands and flavors you love. It's as simple as pick, mix, and pour. From software to hardware, we've designed every aspect to enhance our users' enjoyment. From the ergonomic angle of the screen to the precision and cleanliness of the form. Our fountain is connected to a smart network, allowing us to update in real time. And the payoff is bringing the intuitive digital experience directly to your cup. From interface to base, the fountain's details all reinforce the fun of beverages. Experience a whole new world of innovative, customized beverages.
This is one of my favorite examples of innovation in PepsiCo, driven by R&D, design, consumer insights, marketing, sales, all together connecting insights about what people needs and wants together with technological innovation to drive something that is new to the market. And obviously we go from the retail environment all the way to the consumer environment in partnership, for instance, like this one with SodaStream. But again, always thinking about what people want and desire in this new society and how to innovate in the best possible way, transforming Gatorade, for instance, in food that you can eat, or adding intelligence to Gatorade. And this is another example a few months ago.
When Gatorade partnered with one of the world's top football clubs, the Brazilian national team, elite athlete service was elevated to an entirely new level. The Brazilian team opened the door, granting Gatorade scientists unprecedented access.
Together with the CBF team, we developed research on heat stress and dehydration to see how the body responds during exercise.
Each player received his own personalized bottle and customized product formulation through the introduction of the Drinkfinity pods and the hydration tracking system.
Hoje, vários jogadores, quando vão para a seleção brasileira, cada leva seus kits.
The player just comes with this pod that contains his specific formula, plugs it in, shake it, mixed with water, and he's ready to go. This is the technology we are using. This bottle has a microchip in it that sends information in real time to the coach.
Gatorade added further support by providing the Brazilian team with their own fuel bar to access sports nutrition products, education, and insights. The partnership with the Brazilian national team represents a big step, but it's just the first step as elite athlete service grows on a global scale. Gatorade will expand the roster, working with more teams in a variety of sports. Emerging technology platforms will be leveraged as never before. Sports fuel personalization is the present and future vision. Improved athletic performance will always be the ultimate goal.
People, insights, rationality, emotionality mixed together in experience. The third step, so we say visceral, wow effect, and then interaction. And finally, what we like to call the expressive relation. So generate pride. Make your user and your consumer your best product and brand ambassadors. Make them pride of sharing the experience that they have with you. From the more traditional advertising of a brand, all the way to innovating in the way you activate the brand. This is a Tostitos installation. Super Bowl is a permanent installation out of the New York Giants Stadium where you have two screens that go up and down that are controlled by the movement of the body of the fans. So essentially you create two teams and with their body, moving their bodies that can control the screen and that can control the game, whatever is the software and the game going on inside those screens. So instead of putting Tostitos advertising with beautiful chips all around the stadium, we decided to understand what the brand stands for. That is all about having fun together, partying together, and then we create something that will really be meaningful and aligned to the brand, but could entertain people. Using, by the way, technology that is, I have my old co-workers here from 3M. This is a technology that is coming from 3M, GTG, a partnership a few years ago. All the way to understanding how to bring cold beverage in situations where it's very difficult to get refrigeration. So this is a solar cart that will give the possibility to many people around the world to create businesses. Think about places like Africa or India or a variety of different regions of the world where there is not electricity or easy access to electricity, and now you have the possibility to create businesses by using these solar carts. All the way to stretching the brands to territories that are not typical for the brand. For the summer of soccer last year, we created a special collection of clothing and headphones and a variety of different products inspired by the brand Pepsi. So how to engage consumers. So this is innovation in marketing and brand building in completely different ways by creating things that they don't expect and experiences they don't expect. From Soccer World Cup all the way to the partnership we did, for instance, with Vogue for the 50th anniversary of the brand and the variety of different collection, again, in clothing that we created with them. And this is an approach that we use across the portfolio of brands. So if you think about these three steps of interaction, visceral, interactive, and expressive, the visceral one, from a business standpoint, is about creating emotional purchase. It's about going to a retailer with a list of things that you need to buy and then falling in love with something that you are not thinking to buy. The interactive one is emotional satisfaction and loyalty. Is the reason why there are lines of people outside of an Apple store where they launch an iPad or a new phone, or now there will be the new Apple Watch, without even seeing the product, because there is that emotional level of satisfaction. Is the hope that they will come up with something that is as good as the previous product because you're loyal to them. You don't want to switch to competition. So that level of emotional relation is extremely important, and this is true also in the professional business. How many times you see people in the professional business in love with specific brands, they just don't want to switch. They just love emotionally that brand, and they're loyal to that. And the expressive one is about spontaneous PR, word of mouth. Again, in innovation, it's so important to have people that become the ambassadors of your innovation and spread the word about your innovation. From a pure commercial standpoint, this is about purchase, repurchase, and recommend. From a design standpoint, this is about creating the wow effect in front of a solution. It's about creating engagement, rational and emotional, with that solution. And finally, it's about the pride of owning that brand or that product and sharing it with others. So these are all the different variables that we keep in mind every time we drive innovation. And it needs to happen across every touch point of the brand. The challenge in a company like PepsiCo is how to keep the story seamless, consistent, and authentic. Authenticity is the key word today across every touch point and across every geography of the world. How to be global, but in the meantime, locally relevant is the big challenge. And this approach to design is innovation in the present, is innovation in the way we do activate brands today. So it's about really innovation applied to brand building, different ways of building brands, as well as innovating the future, thinking products. We have different challenges in front of us. What's the future of water? What's the future of energy, sport drinks? How to play in the world of mass product mass customization, how to stretch your brand beyond the product where it is today, adjacencies, what's the future of retail, what's the future of experiences in restaurants, and so on and so forth. So it's really about creating convenience and pleasure in the society through innovation in our products and in our brands. Couple of examples of this. The future of these machines, the immediate future is what I share with you today. But there is much more, that will come. That machine could become something completely different. I usually say, don't ask a designer to design a bridge. Ask a designer how to move from one side of the river to the other. The next fountain could be a table with a touch screen where you put the cup in the center and you fill the cup from the bottom. By the way, all of these technologies are available today. We could make it even tomorrow. This is just one, potential direction. Or what is going to happen in food and beverage at home, for instance. In the future, we'll probably order all the different ingredients or specific shapes of products and specific ingredients that go inside the product from a computer when we are at work. We'll go home, we'll have machines that can create our products for us, 3D printers for food. You can get the recipes from your social media or from famous chefs, and while you are getting ready, your personal machine, your personal chef is creating your snacks for you or your food for you, and then you can have your guests at home and interact with them. Or what is going to be the future of Gatorade? Here I have another video for you.
The future. It's not an inheritance, it's an opportunity. For Gatorade, the opportunity is clear. Push the sports fuel ecosystem further to support the athlete of tomorrow. In the future, NFL players wear sweat patches, sending real-time fuel data and hydration tracking to team trainers through sideline carts. Access to technology goes well beyond the lab. Athletes instantly receive specific feedback, no matter where they work out. G-Camps dive deeper through on-field testing, measuring hydration, glycogen, and electrolyte levels. Wearable technology transmitting wirelessly allows trainers to analyze data and provide direct feedback. Knowing their specific sweat rate and type of sweat, athletes choose their formula using the Gatorade fuel pods and the intelligent hydration bottle. Before training, athletes receive alerts detailing the intensity, weather conditions, and duration of the upcoming practice. They're also provided with a strategy for fueling, before, during, and after workouts. During training, the hydration tracking system instantly tells athlete and trainer about fuel input and output. To replenish their supply, athletes get their Gatorade fuel pods from intelligent vending machines. Monthly supplies of Gatorade fuel can be ordered online or through premium retail doors. From awareness to tracking to delivery, every aspect of the sports fuel ecosystem will be connected. Every step in the process will be seamless. After 50 years of fueling athletes, the best is still yet to come. Gatorade, defining the future of sports fuel.
And these are just a few examples, and as you can imagine, there are many others that I cannot disclose. So with this kind of approach, what are the challenges and the opportunities? Two challenges to leave you with. The first one is how to manage risk, and we were talking about this earlier. How to manage also the confidence or the lack of confidence that you have in an organization, risk and failure, and this fine balance between the two. And for this, it's extremely important to build a culture that doesn't punish risk. 3M CEO William McKnight in the 50s used to say, management that is destructively critical when mistakes are made kill initiative. And it's essential that we have many people with initiative if we are to continue to grow. Fast Company, in an article a few months ago about innovation in PepsiCo, in an interview of 4 hours, the editor of Innovation and Design of Fast Company decided to highlight one sentence. It's important to have a culture that doesn't punish you. So this idea of tolerating failure and have people failing in the right, proper way is at the base of innovation. We don't need to go to CEOs of corporations. This is Woody Allen. If you're not failing now and again, it's a sign you're not doing anything very innovative. So it seems that it's pretty obvious to everybody, but it's so difficult to make it happen in the hyper-efficient culture of organization. So design has a role to mitigate that kind of risk, to create that kind of confidence. Starting from empathy about what people needs and wants, strategizing around that, and then using the design tools that is the ability to prototype, to create things that everybody can touch and feel. You can increase the confidence in the organization and mitigate risk. I usually talk about the value of prototyping and storytelling across specific kind of values. The power of visualization, so aligning everybody around an idea. For instance, if I say knife now, everybody in this room is visualizing a different kind of knife. But if I show you the picture of a knife, now we are all aligned around that specific knife. And now the ergonomist here could tell me that the handle is wrong. The marketer could tell me that the brand is not visible enough, and so on and so forth. So visualizing, prototyping give the possibility to the organization to build up on ideas and align everybody around those ideas. It's the power of what I call the power of the shiny object. When you start to show things to your top management, to your investors, people get excited and you unlock funding and resources. This is extremely important. I saw so many projects where we're talking until finally you arrive with a prototype and people, wow, get excited and they fund or sponsor that initiative. It's about the progressive iteration. You bring in different kind of functions around the table to build on that idea, and you have the ability also to build in, to bring in consumers, people from outside that co-create with you in a new modern approach to innovation. So alignment, engagement, progressive iteration, iterative consumer feedbacks, and empathy are there about increasing confidence and mitigating the risk in the organization. This is why design is getting so much traction in many organizations. And then the second challenge opportunity is find the right people. What we call the design thinkers, they don't need to be designers, is the innovation thinkers. And there are specific characteristics I want to leave you with. There is also a paper that I've wrote about this, much longer than this, but essentially the mindset of a design thinker is you want to have people synthetic and abductive, able to really have the big picture in mind and then with an analytical way to rebuild a path to that big picture. You want to have them, you need to be elegant, not just in the solution that is the perfect balance of all the different elements to create a perfect solution for your target audience, but also in the process. The mathematicians in the room probably heard many times, this word, elegant process. They need to be polyglot and storyteller. They need to thrive in the ambiguity and the complexity of different disciplines. Real innovators move from marketing to manufacturing to design to insights in a very comfortable way. They need to be intuitive. We always talk about process. The reality is that the intuition, people, is really what drives innovation. And so how to nurture intuition and then how to plug it inside the process of this big organization. They need to be dialectical, able to connect and interact with a variety of different actors inside the organizations. And finally, they need to be in love. And in love means you often hear this word, customer satisfaction. Satisfying a customer means to do everything is possible to fulfill a specific need. But when you love somebody, it could be your kids, it could be your mom, your husband, your wife, you try to do more. It's the magic, it's the unexpected, it's the surprise. This is what drives innovators. Try to do something that nobody expects. It's the surprise that you create. And it's very easy to think about the surprise and unexpected in the diverging phase of the idea phase, the concept phase. The difficult part is to protect that magic across the process, when you go through feasibility, when you go through the investments necessary to launch a product and go to market. In terms of behaviors, we want to have people that are curious, that love diversity, that listen with humility, but then, because often you listen too much and you don't act, have the confidence to take decision and drive, taking also risk. It's about being resilient, because if we innovate, we'll always face roadblocks on the way, and therefore we need to be also optimistic. We need to have always a very positive approach, because there will be always those barriers on our way. We need always to be in quest, always hungry, and try to go the extra mile. Everybody will try to achieve a certain limit, a certain goal. Let's try always to understand what is the goal of our competition, and then try to always put goals for us that are beyond that. And finally, be aware and self-conscious, and smile and have fun, because we have a job that is really, really fun, and this is a big game, and let's try really to enjoy what we're doing every day. So take home at least this. Design is not about styling, it's not about product, it's about how a company thinks, and it's really about how to drive innovation in this society in a different way. Thank you.